Okie dokie. Good morning. How are you? We have a little reprieve from the rain for today and tomorrow, and then bam, we're going to get hit again. Not complaining in California at all. So make sure I've got people getting on. Yes, I see the little eyeball says yes. Today, I found this interview enchanting. And Lilo got it at Houston. And it is with O.V. Brantley. I talked about this on, what's today, Wednesday, Monday, that we were going to be doing this today. I had not yet watched the video. I want to move in next door to her. She has such a glowing energy, which is just so wonderful to see in a human being. And then you guys are sending me pictures, and I thank you for that immensely. Here we go. Cheryl did this out of ties, and I'm trying to think if she said, it's called reverse spin. I got my notes. Reverse spin is the pattern, is the name of the block, and the pattern's by Cindy McCoy. And it's funny, for all of you that have done these ties projects, the language of quilting comes up, and that's like the bubble cuss that goes on in your mind, but the results are so worth it. So then this is Denise, and these are made out of ties, and it's a little pillow. I love how she cut those ties out to get those images. I mean, that took some finagling. And also, the border is fabulous. That stripe just wowie zowie. So thank you, Denise, for sending that. Oh, and then Londa sent me this picture. 100 years ago, I was at Ann Arbor Sewing, and we did this basket quilt, and we've kind of done that here too. She just finished it. It looks like she still has to quilt it, but she was really afraid of working with those facet. Oh, I shouldn't say afraid. It was out of her wheelhouse, is what I should say. And one thing I know for sure is if there's something that's out of your wheelhouse, try it. I used to really not like autumn colors, and now they're a go-to for me every single time. You're just broadening what's in your tool belt and how you can expand your quilting experience. Okay, then this is Jane's. I put these together on Sundays, and then I add a little bit today. But so sometimes I go, well, what was that about? Let's just see. Okay. Oh, Jane. Okay, so Jane sent me this picture, I don't know, yesterday, the day before, I think yesterday. And it was really weird because the bottom center was blurry. I couldn't make sense of it. And so I asked her to please get another picture to me. And I'm going to talk about, she did the heart quilt. I love this quilt. And I think she had to scrape by, because that's what happens when you work with silk, ties. When you run out, you run out. In my book, everything about this quilt is perfect. And I'm not just saying that, Jane. Seriously. One of the tricks that I do, though I handle it a little bit differently, but I want to point it out because it's always fabulous, is if you look at the top border and the left border going down, blue, go opposite, it's red. Now, I often do that. Sometimes I will, see if this even makes sense, not do it exactly at the corner, but dip it over. I think it makes the quilt 1,000 times more interesting. And just the way you even chunked up the border was like, I adore this quilt. Now, John just walked in.
Someone wants to see your flower project, they said. I don't know if that means no.
My flower project. Let me see. Is this what we're talking about? Guess what I was just working on? Is this what we're talking about here? I hope so, because otherwise I don't know what you're talking about. My dandelions. What do you guys think of the light petals up there with me putting that stitch up there? I'm a little bit like, oh, maybe it's too much. And then I'm thinking, just keep going. Just don't pull it out. Just keep going. So hopefully that's our second wool project. All right, let me look at comments here before we go on. Yeah, Susan, I think that's what you're talking about. Oh, yeah. And Susan wanted to know if we could do this simultaneously with the gnome and mushrooms. And the answer is no, because while people think we're some big old organization, we are a handful of people pedaling as fast as we can. So thank you for your patience and all that. All right. All right. All right. All right. All right. So Jane, yes. Now I can't wait to see it quilted. And as an aside, I'm doing a presentation for a Wisconsin Guild on Valentine's Day. So that's lighting a fire under my behind that I've got to get mine quilted. Okay, then Road to California is right now. It's a really great regional, large regional show, large. And I, I saw something on my Facebook feed. Number one, I would like to share and congratulate Kathy Wiley for getting Best of Show. I, as I have told you before, love that quilt. And I even talked about it in one of these lives. I think it is phenomenal. And in case you missed that live, when you see the black on the quilt, you are looking through to the curtain, looking through. Boom. I mean, it is spectacular. But then Carol got a prizey. Got all excited and choked myself. Um, she got a prizey, and Carol's the person you just, I don't know. I want to hug her, and this is her first quilt, people, and it's certainly Sue Spargo inspired. But also, Carol wrote me, and I can't find it, Carol. I don't think I've shared it. If you want to resend it, that's great. She's doing this year's BOM, and she never pieced. World, get out of the way. Carol is in the quilting world. So step back. All right. So then our Janet Stone got something. I had to write this down because I had not heard about this. It's a really prestigious award, and it is the Marie White Award. And Janet did a BOM for us too back in the day. Janet just swoops up those ribbons left and right. Her work is impeccable. And the thing about Janet's work, I can safely say, I'm looking for the sheep. There's always sheep in it. Okay, I see the sheep. You can't just walk up and go, oh, and walk on. I really have to stop and study it. And then what happens is sometimes I see something new. And to me, that's the sign of an excellent quilt where you don't see it in one shot. Okay. So as I mentioned, O.V. Brantley is who Lilo interviewed. I've never met her. I want to meet her. And let's take a look a little bit of her quilt so you understand where she's coming from. If you go to her website, and I'll show you what it is, when I first started looking at her stuff, I thought, I don't know that I could just go say, oh, so-and-so made that. Oh, so-and-so made that. Because one of the things I noticed about, not all of them, but about a lot of her quilts are that she's got this fabulous border. And a lot of the time it's very African American inspired fabric. So, I wrote down the names of these. Let me go back to this here. I guess I didn't. The first one was the Angels quilt. And there was an Angel series, okay? This one is called Give Yourself Flowers. And note the border again. That is such great fabric. And I know a lot of people might be a little afraid to use it. Oh yeah, not OV. Okay. Oh, I love this one. It's called 5 Minutes Before Vacation. Hey, none of us can relate to that. For me, though, the killer is I go on vacation, and what do? I quilt. So I guess every day's a vacation. Okay, this is called Kissed by an Elephant. A lot, and she talks about this in the video, a lot of her work has elephants in it. She talks about that. All right. All right. These are just glorious. Just freaking glorious. This one's called Joyful Journey. And to me, this is way more subdued than her other things, but yet there's this slice of energy that just comes through on this quilt. Okay, here's 8. I think, oh, I hope I don't screw this up. I'm pretty sure, uh-oh. Oh yeah, there, okay, this is right. Caribbean Reflection. It's hand quilted. If you've ever been to the Caribbean, that is the color of the water. And I adore that first of all, it's a super simple block she's doing, but I love the way she's shaking it up and moving the justification of the blocks to keep your eye going all over the place. Okay. Another Kissed by an Elephant. I love those little elephants down at, I guess that would be 7 o'clock or bottom left-hand corner. And honestly, that fabric in the border, I know a lot of people will be really afraid to use this, but not you, but not O.V. Okay, but now she also does what I could consider very traditional stuff. This is an applique quilt that she did, and she's calling it, it's an Atlanta album. This Ain't Baltimore is the title of it. And it's interesting because it, to me, is very reminiscent of the very first BOM that we did with Sue Garman. I don't think she used the pattern, but classic and good is always classic and good. Love it. Okay. Here's another one. Now, see, I wouldn't put this with the first ones I showed you, so you can see that she is completely multi-talented. Oh, and this one? Mm-hmm. Well, I'm not going to tell you about it. Let's get to the video, and you will learn. It's pretty awesome.
Hi, we're on the floor at the Houston Quilt Festival, and we are here with O.V. Brantley, and she has her own exhibition of red and white quilts. It's a long time coming, is the title of the exhibition. So tell us about what pulled this kind of together and why red and white?
Okay, I'll start with the title of the exhibit, Long Time Coming. I chose that title because it's a retrospective. The exhibit features quilts I've made over a span of 20 years. And the number one question I always get about the exhibit is why red and white?
Yeah.
And the reason that I started making red and white quilts is because long ago when I was a student at the University of Arkansas at Fayetteville, I was fortunate enough to be part of a group of women who chartered the very first chapter of my sorority, Delta Sigma Theta. And Delta Sigma Theta's colors, sort of like a sports team for the uninitiated.
In case you're not aware.
Red and white.
Okay.
And once you are initiated, you love red and white. And our symbol is the elephant. So when you look at my exhibit, everything is red and white because of Delta, and you'll see a lot of elephants as well.
Okay, well that makes absolute sense.
Yes.
And so tell us about this quilt that you've got, that we're standing in front of here.
Well, now that she is hanging here center stage, her name is a star among stars, and I have learned that many, many, many people love her. I do not love her. I hate her.
Really?
Because she tortured me as I was making her.
Oh.
This quilt has approximately 3,000 pieces, pieced entirely by hand. And it took me almost 3 years to finish her.
You kept saying, I'm never going to finish it, I'm never going to finish it.
But I had to finish it because it was started in my group of quilting friends. We call ourselves the Sunday group. And I didn't want to be the only one who didn't finish her quilt.
And they kept saying, come on, you can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Well, she is absolutely lovely, even though you hate her, as you say.
But we'll
She's
talk about some other quilts in my exhibit that I love.
that you love. Yes,
Yes.
absolutely. Well, along with that, you are doing this exhibition. You are also, because I noticed you're wearing your little badge here, the founder of the Atlanta Quilt Festival. So tell me about a little bit about that.
Well, the Atlanta Quilt Festival is now in its 15th year. And every year we do a quilt exhibit that it's up an entire month. It is primarily African American quilts and quilters, and we do classes and vendors, just a whole quilting celebration. Well, in 2022, as part of that, we decided that we would honor our local congressperson, Congressman John Lewis,
Yes.
because he had recently passed away, with an exhibit. And we put out a call for quilts that honor John Lewis. And what resulted was the exhibit that is here in this exhibit hall called Good Trouble Quilts. And we're very, very proud that we were able to honor a man who dedicated his life to making the world a better place.
Absolutely. And so if you wanted to also go to the Atlanta Quilt Festival, when is that held?
It is held every August, and the opening day is always the first Sunday.
First Sunday in August. Okay. Well, we definitely want to put that on our calendar to
Thank
go
you.
and visit.
Thank you.
Well, let's go look at one of your other quilts that you do really love.
Okay.
And you can tell us a little bit about that.
Okay.
Okay. So here we are with Star of Mew, and I do notice a little bit of some things that I'm starting to pick up. You do like a little bit of sparkle, so
I
you a little
do.
bit of a magpie.
A little bit.
Not a lot, but a little bit.
You know, just enough to subtly stand out in the crowd. But I wanted to share this quilt since we started out talking about my sorority and how I got into red and white quilts. This is my daughter India's initiation quilt. She is also a member of Delta Sigma Theta, and when she pledged at the University of Arkansas, now a legacy as we call it, I had to make her a special quilt. This is a special quilt, and it's a Judy Niemeyer pattern. She's not allowed to touch it because it is so special, but it is.
She can just look at it.
She can just look at it because, and it will never go home with her because she has 2 dogs, and if I saw a piece of dog hair on this quilt, I would stroke out.
Does she have to touch it with gloves too?
Well, she can't touch it
At
ever.
all?
She
Oh.
just looks from afar, and she knows
And
that her
admires.
mother spent a year making her a special legacy Delta Sigma Theta quilt.
Well, and that will be something she will really cherish for
I
years
think
and
she
years.
will.
So,
I think
even
she
despite the fact that she can't touch it or
Right.
actually have it in her house.
Right.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right. Well, let's go look at another one. So we're standing here in front of a quilt, which is by chance called Delta Menopause, and that's a subject matter that a lot of us can relate to. But besides that, it has the subject of menopause. Tell us more about this quilt because this is pretty darn special.
This quilt I did make during the time I was going through menopause. And as you can probably see, I like traditional quilts.
Yes.
And so I wanted to make a traditional fan quilt in red and white. But the special part of this quilt is that it is hand quilted. Completely hand quilted. All the quilting in the background was done by me sitting in my rocking chair. And when I talk about this quilt, I like to say I sat in my rocking chair and I would fan a while, hot flashes, and then quilt a while.
Yeah,
so this is a
fan
special
and stitch, fan and stitch.
This is a special quilt because she got me through it. She got me through
wonderful.
it.
And I can imagine that you had this on your lap because I tend to not try to have anything near me when I'm needing a fan.
Well, I
hats off to
quilt
you.
in a hoop. I never could really do the frame so well,
Yeah.
but I love quilting in a hoop.
Oh,
So,
well, that kept it off your lap and off of you.
Yeah.
That's super fun. All right, well, let's go look at another one of your fun. Here we are in front of another really traditional quilt. But what you told me earlier when we came and talked about some of your quilts is that you like to have a little bit of a message in each of your quilts that you make.
I do. I'm very high on trying to focus on living a wonderful, well-balanced life because just a few sentences about my background. I grew up in the segregated South, a little small town named Crossett, Arkansas. 6,000 people at the time I was there. And I'm not going to tell my age, but when I lived there, it was still segregated. And I did not go to school with white kids until I was in the 7th grade. And that can be very traumatic, going from a segregated environment to an integrated environment. So you have to learn to find yourself and be true to who you are. So on this quilt, even though it's simple, it's one of my favorites with the circle amongst the squares, and that's why I named it Trying to Fit In, because I think all of us go through trying to fit in, will people like me, will they invite me to dinner, will they go play with me, whatever. But I have learned and try to practice every day of my life being authentically me.
Yeah.
And that's what this quilt means to me.
And I think that's a really good message for all of us, because especially when you're in a group, sometimes everybody's showing they're doing this and this, and that's not what you're doing, and you're coming out with something totally off in left field, and then you feel a little odd.
And it's also a metaphor for me, even being in this exhibit hall. I don't mind sharing with you that I was very hesitant to even propose my exhibit, because my quilts, some of them are very simple, some of them most of them are very traditional. And you think of the International Quilt Festival, you got to have something that's like, wow, it's got to be like over the top.
Yeah.
And so I'm just very grateful that I can quilt my way, and it was accepted at the International Quilt Festival.
Congratulations. It really is a lovely exhibit, and it's wonderful to see the changing of your work, your legacy, and you're still making more quilts. But I hope that eventually you'll let your daughter actually have her quilt that you made for her.
No chance.
So thank you very much, O.V. Brantley. Today it's been really fun getting to know you and looking at your quilts.
Thank you.
Well, I know we said goodbye already, but then we saw another quilt, so we've decided we're going to extend the party a little longer. So tell us about this, because this is a really joyful quilt as well.
It really is. As you've kind of figured out, my exhibit is somewhat autobiographical. And I grew up in the Baptist church in my little hometown and just spent hours and hours in church. This quilt is named Praise Team Praising. Now, long ago when I was in the Baptist church, the deacons did the hymns, but in modern Baptist church, they have teams of singers who come out and sing and fire up the crowd, get everybody excited, and get them ready for the preacher. And it's a joyous time, everybody's singing, clapping, everything. And these three ladies just looked so joyously singing that I named it Praise Team Praising. But it is a quilt that is entirely done by hand. The applique is done by hand, needle turn applique, and it's entirely quilted by hand. So that's Praise Team Praising, and it takes me back to First Baptist Church, Crossett, Arkansas.
Oh my goodness, that is wonderful. That is a wonderful story, and it's so nice to see so many of these nuggets of stories of your life that are here on display for others to experience with you. So again, thank you so much for taking time to share your story in this wonderful exhibit.
And thank you for finding me. You are the best researcher in the world.
I dig around. I dug around to find you. Yes, so
Thank you.
thanks again very much.
right? So those last couple quilts we were looking at were from the John Lewis exhibit that she was talking about. There's just a magic that just comes off of her. And I'm so glad that Lilo sleuthed it out and found her. All right. So let me show you what's going on so I can tell you what's going on Monday. All right. So, yes, our rulers are used for many, many things. This is from outside Knoxville, Tennessee, and it's at the home of Jennifer Jiggis. So on Monday, we were going to do a video on Design and Quilt. It's a computer program, a software that is for quilting. But we can't do it on Monday because of technical issues because of the snow. So we'll do it real soon because I know a lot of you have looked at it, are interested in it, and all that good stuff. What I decided to do, this was like just a light bulb thing. I get questions and I get information from you guys. So, like for instance, I got a letter, and I thought this was interesting, from Jeannie or Janine, that this is her dealer's favorite foot. It is a 20. It's a 20. And it's really meant for embroidery. But the dealer said if she only could have one foot in the world, this is what she would have. And so the way Jeannie uses it is that she moves the needle to the right until she gets the perfect 1/4 inch. Now, why does she like that? Well, the 1/4 inch foot doesn't have this part here. And that, no, okay, let me start over with that. The 1/4 inch foot is not as wide, so it doesn't grab the feed dogs as well. So I thought that was really interesting, and I might give it a try myself. So thank you for that. Also, I've got some notes here. Also, I got a really good question about this. Somebody is going to be making a tie quilt for a friend whose husband has passed. And the woman even went and had the ties all dry cleaned. So now we all know we can wash these ties, right? But I love O.V.'s word stroke out. I think the recipient would stroke out if these were washed after she went to all the care of, dry cleaning them. So how would I clean it? Yes, we are told not to use dry cleaners, right? But in this case, I would then dry clean the quilt, because did you know that dry cleaning also fabrics can run and this and that? So essentially it's all been prepped, the fabric, via dry cleaning. So I would stick with that. All right. I got another question that was, what is that thing under the E? Well, that is a rubber thing that comes off, and you can connect the magnifying glass, which is an extra accessory that you can use. It might be used for other things too, but I know that it's about, for me, it's about the magnifying glass. So let me look. Oh, the guild that I'm going to, I was looking for the contract and I couldn't put my hands on it, but the program chair I'm dealing with is Robert. So do your sleuthing. It's not that big of a state, right? Okay, you can hear today's the last day in my kitchen. I think that's it. 2 things. Dee will be here this Saturday. Yay, after coming home from her daughter's wedding. I'm going to talk to her and tell her, just please show about 5 slides. We love weddings, right? They're so much fun. But what's Monday? Because what I had planned went, I said to John, I think it might be fun to do an Ask Alex. We've covered a lot of information over the last period of time, and I do get really interesting questions. So send me questions, and I'm going to kind of put a caveat on it on both ends at ALEXANDRSN at AOL. Oh, I'm sorry. No, I don't do that anymore. At gmail.com. ALEXANDRSN at Gmail. I want your question questions by Sunday morning, because Sunday I try to prepare everything. And we've got two things that can happen. Nobody can send me something, and then I'll just make up things, and you'll be sorry. Or too many people can send me things, and then I'll just divide it into two sections at some point. So give me some questions. I think you can never stop learning, and no question is dumb. Nothing. All right. Well, O.V. Bentley's Red and White Show Travel. I don't know, Linda, but you can go to her website, and I'm sure there's a contact us, and you can ask her that, because she just had this spirit about her. Okay. Okay. I think we're good. I'll see you Monday. Please send me questions. Please. Please. I was thrown a loop, John. O.V., you're here. John said you're here. Wait, John, you saw her? Okay. Yes, Crystal, Robert is the chairperson's name. O.V., say something. Say hi. We're loving on you. We're loving on you. She's playing shy right now. Anyways, go to her website. There's a lot there, and it was really kind of hard to choose what I was going to pick. And again, you can email her and ask her about it. So, okay, I will see you Monday, and stay warm, stay dry. I really appreciate you people choosing to spend your time with me. Okay. Okay, I think we're good. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.